Good evening, campers, it's me, Kieran, and today we are going to talk about Fowl Eulogies by LUCIE, RICO. Now, before I start anything, I want to say thank you to Emma, one of my coffee supporters, who actually sent me this as part of the Plek Secret Santa. Because it was gifted to me, I had to read it very quickly, and read it quickly I did because Fowl Eulogies is somewhat of a speedy read. But what is it about? The story revolves around vegetarian Paula, who works on her family's small rural farm. They breed chickens, and guess what happens if you breed chickens? You gotta kill them, and it's Paula's job to go and kill the chickens, and she sells them at the local market. Paula, once she's seen the plucked carcasses adorned in their cellophane for sale, she thinks about the time that she has spent with these chickens, their quirks, their personalities almost, and wants to honour that. She doesn't want to see it as just another piece of meat to people, and therefore she begins writing the chickens' eulogies, placing it atop the cadaver so that customers can learn more about the chicken that they are about to purchase and therefore eat. A few people like Louis scoff at this idea and think it's somewhat stupid, but then Ferdinand comes to the market and thinks it's a great idea, and actually he thinks he could make this a profitable business because Ferdinand owns a big industrial farm. Ferdinand and Paula strike up a deal, and from the small rural farm we move into the great industrial farm where thousands of chickens are there to grow and to be killed. And Paula's worried. How is she going to write all the eulogies of these chickens? Actually, how is she going to identify all of these chickens? Surely it's going to be a monumental task writing about all of the chickens and their quirks to the customers. But don't worry, Ferdinand has hired a couple of writers who are going to write the eulogies of these chickens. Now, some of you can already gather where the trajectory of this story is going to go. We have a heartfelt moment between farmer and their produce, and how this is going to almost alienate as soon as we move on to grander scales and more people get involved. And we also are going to understand the frustration where Paula feels as though they're just writing anything about any chicken because the consumer doesn't need to know if the chicken Henry was indeed the chicken Henry. They don't care. Though I propose that the main message of Rico's novel, that won her the Ecology Award, is that consumers don't care about the lives of the chicken. They don't care about the eulogies. They care more so about the welfare. But how can you care about the welfare of the animal or the perceived welfare of the animal if you don't know anything about the lives of the chickens? Indeed, questions about the meat industry are being probed here, but what I have to give props to Rico for is that she's not going down the cliche veganism route. She's not saying all meat is bad, meat is murder, you shouldn't be doing it. Instead, it's asking, what do we really want from the meat that we eat? Is it the idea of farm fresh, free roaming chickens that are happy? We ultimately know that the idea being sold to us is not the reality in most cases. Unless you're going to the local farmer's market or from a family-run butcher, ultimately what you're buying from the supermarket are large industrial organizations where the entire idea is profit. The idea is bringing you in, selling you an idea that this life has been lived well, not that it has been lived accordingly. Now, everything I mentioned about this book is meat and potatoes. It is good, hearty stuff. It's something that everyone should be thinking about. But Rico, right at the end, decides to make a huge slop out of it and just pours custard over the entire thing, going, "Don't you see what I'm doing now?" And it really, she truly took her book to the abattoir on this one and absolutely gutted it. Now, anyone who's read a significant number of books knows when an author ham-fists an ending. But Rico really bolt-gunned the cliche here. She clipped her own wings in that one. What on earth was that ending? Oh, it's frustrating because it was good, solid stuff. And then Rico just, leads too far in. And it just turned into cliche. Well, that was 2 days of reading ruin. And for that, LUCIE RICO's Fowl Eulogies, you can go with the Testaments Club. You can have a 2 out of 10 from me.